What is going on when it comes to the Toronto Raptors? A team that won the championship 2 years ago is now being tied with the second worst record in the Eastern Conference and the worst record in the entire NBA. This is just absolutely inexcusable. And when you think about the talent that's on the roster, it just doesn't make any sense. And when you think about who they're being coached by, Nick Nurse, it just makes it even more mind-boggling that a team with this type of talent is struggling so much. And you can always point to factors such as, maybe they're homesick because they are playing in Tampa and not Canada. But my goodness, this is just absolutely crazy how the way they're playing. This team doesn't even look recognizable at many points. It just looks like a completely different team. Before we get into today's video, what is up guys? It is your boy and I'm back here giving y'all another banger. And since I'm giving y'all another banger, if y'all could go ahead and drop a like on the video, it'd be much appreciated. And if you enjoy basketball content, you should subscribe to this channel. But without further ado, let's get into today's video, which is going to be talking about what is going on when it comes to the Toronto Raptors and their extremely disappointing loss to the Portland Trail Blazers. So I'm going to do kind of a mix between what the Toronto Raptors are doing overall when it comes to the entirety of the season, but at the same time I'm also going to focus on last night's game. So starting off with last night's game, Siakam played well. I don't care what anyone says. He had a triple-double. He was doing his thing and he was cooking. I know it's kind of like a thing to just slander Siakam because he does have a really interesting way of playing. He's always spinning and he's always kind of doing the same thing, but he was extremely effective throughout the game. But he's going to get slandered because of course he did miss back-to-back game-winning shots. So that's always going to be a slide on him, but I just don't think that for the game Siakam should get that much slander because overall he was pretty great. Boucher was also great. He is also someone that I feel like is finding his role in the Toronto Raptors lineup. He is actually really good and I like the way he's playing. OG Anunoby also played very well. It just seems like all the other role players are actually playing pretty well when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, but they just can't seem to be getting wins because yes, Fred VanVleet is struggling a little bit and Kyle Lowry is struggling as well. I'm not sure if Kyle Lowry has hit his point when it comes to play because he is getting up there in age, but you never know. I just don't understand how a team that has this much talent and is coached by Nick Nurse is struggling so much. The Toronto Raptors had a 17-point lead at one point. They were up. It looked like they were finally going to, win a game because they were playing so poorly throughout the beginning of the season. And I get it, it's a short off season, but they didn't even make it that far. They made it to the second round, game 7. So when you think about it, it's like, okay, they didn't even make it that far into the playoffs. So it's like, okay, you don't really have an excuse to be saying it's a short off season when you didn't even make it that far into the playoffs yourselves. But man, having a 17-point lead and then you slowly choke it away. They had too many costly turnovers that let the other team get into play. Those turnovers really costed them in the end because they just kept turning over the ball. They let the Trailblazers slowly creep into the game and then they won it by a 1-point game just like they did with the Warriors. They won by 1 point. It's just so frustrating to watch. And in both games, Siakam had a chance to win the game. And in my personal opinion, I believe that Siakam can be the second option on a championship squad because we saw what he did with Kawhi Leonard, but he cannot be taking the last shots. Even if Fred VanVleet is having a bad game, I would rather him take the last shot because he just knows where to pick his spots and have him take the last shot, but it can't be Siakam. I'm sorry. Last night, it did make a lot of sense to go to Siakam because he was having a good game. I'm not disputing that, but I just feel as though Fred VanVleet is a better option to go to down the stretch of a game rather than Siakam. And for them to allow CJ McCollum to just destroy them, it's just so frustrating to watch. CJ McCollum, I do believe, is a little underrated because people always like to rag on him and like, oh, it's CJ and he's not really all that good. But he's actually a pretty good player in my book. But for them to allow CJ McCollum to destroy them the way they did and to win the game, man, it's so disheartening to watch. It's unbelievable. At the end of the day, they just need to have a team meeting and sit down and they really need to go over their game plan and see what they need to do in order to win games because this is ridiculous. A team this good should not be having one of the worst records in the entire NBA, even if it's at the beginning, because they need to start cranking out wins. A team as good as the Toronto Raptors should not be tanking for any reason because One, I don't even think they would get that high of a pick. And even if they do, that just doesn't make sense right now. Like, that's not really what you need. You could really sign another free agent and then you would be right there in title contention again. And they need to work on their defense down the stretch of games, because I'm tired of them having a lead and then it slowly chokes it away because they're letting the other team get whatever they want, get the open looks that they can, and they win the game. I'm sorry. They just have to be better defensively. My point is this: something has to give at this point. Something absolutely has to give. They need to do something, and if something doesn't work, then they do need to make a trade. I don't believe that James Harden would stay in Toronto, but if you have to give anything to get James Harden, at this point, you should be able to do it because you need to start winning games. I do have a lot of faith in the Toronto Raptors, so I do believe that they'll bounce back from this and they will slowly but surely start to win games, but man, this is a rough start to the year for them. I just can't believe this. So all in all, everyone needs to step up their games. They need to get a better closer. Fred VanVleet needs to demand the ball more in late game situations, because I do believe that he is a better closer than Siakam. No offense to Siakam, I like him. Just go to Fred VanVleet. And at the end of the day, they need to develop a better game plan down the stretch of games. And that's on Nick Nurse, who needs to do a better job of coaching this team. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much. If you listened this far, please drop a like on this video and please subscribe if you haven't already. And please comment down below on what you believe about this Toronto Raptors team. What do you think is going on? And what you think I should make my next video about? But without further ado, guys, I am out. Peace.